My name is Michael Williams. I am a writer and consultant, and my disability is called cerebral palsy. I have been disabled ever since I was born. I have never let this fact discourage me from doing the very best I can with my life. At this time, all my major activities center around the field of augmentative and alternative communication. I write a newsletter for augmentative communicators called Alternatively Speaking. I am a member of the Executive Committee of the International Society for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, or ISAC. I am the first augmented communicator to serve on this committee. I am also involved with a project at Penn State that is investigating whether it's possible to mentor augmented communicators via email. You'll notice something very unusual is going on here. Not once since I've started this discourse have I moved my lips. No, I'm not trying to be some sort of New Age ventriloquist. Had I attempted to convey the same information using my biological voice, not many people would understand what I was saying. This voice output communication device is but one of the many tools in my assistive technology arsenal that I use to communicate my thoughts to the outside world. In addition to this voice output communication device, I also make extensive use of email and the fax machine. In addition to these high-tech devices, I also use a low-tech letterboard. I use this to spell out words, letter by letter. This limited the people I could communicate with. After all, you can't use a letterboard to talk with a small child, or a blind person, or a person with dyslexia. My voice output communication device helps me establish myself as a sentient human being when I'm out in the community. This is most important for me, for I am afraid that Mr. and Mrs. John Q. Public tend to view people with speech disabilities as 2 carrots short of a stew. Modern technology has helped me tremendously in my struggle to become a full human being who participates in a meaningful way in his society, but such were not always the case. As you can see, I'm not a member of Generation X. I was born in the late 1930s, and these technologies weren't even dreamt of then. My first piece of assistive technology was my grandfather's standard manual typewriter. I used typewriters to communicate all through grade school, high school, and during my undergraduate years in college. In the late 1970s, I became the first person on my block to get a personal computer. When I saw the possibilities this machine brought into my life, I became an enthusiastic supporter of this technology in the lives of people with disabilities.
My name is Christa Caudill. I'm a deafblind person, and I'm a student at the University of Delaware, where I'm majoring in computer science and minoring in cognitive science.
Destiny, I'm going to suggest, represents a set of possibilities for how you might turn out that represents the maximal use of your potential. So what I'm emphasizing again is that in traditional cultures, this is part of life. that it's crucially important that one discover one's proper place, not just where everybody wants you to be, but where you actually belong.
I think destiny relates to what people are able to do, but I think my destiny, I believe, is in the computer science field. And I think being a deaf-blind person, that has affected my destiny. I was basically born deaf and blind. I have a genetic condition that affected both my hearing and sight. When my parents first discovered that I was blind, they just felt very lost, of course. They didn't know what to do, and they asked doctors, you know, what should we do with our child? And the doctors responded to them, go home and pray, and that's all they said. And that wasn't very helpful information, obviously. So my parents really did a pretty good job getting me educated and everything all the way up to now. I really enjoy being a student at the University of Delaware. I received a exploratory grant from the National Science Foundation, and this grant was for $98,000 over 2 years. And this grant will be used to develop a device for deaf and blind people that will basically change speech into Braille and Braille into speech, so that deaf and blind people can communicate more independently with other people who don't know sign language. Some of the other communication methods that I have right now are very slow. I have a book that has Braille letters as well as printed letters in them, so that I can communicate with people who don't know sign language by simply pointing to the letters. It's an extremely slow method. I really think computers can level the playing field for people with disabilities. It removes a huge barrier in communication for me. When I was using a chat room, I was able to come in contact with a variety of people. And on one particular chat room, my boyfriend was in that room chatting. He seemed to be a very friendly person, so we started having more and more conversations with one another through the internet. And things just progressed from that point. And we've began dating, and we've been together for about 3 years. This was just a freak thing, a way that we happened to have met. I was not using the computer as a dating service in any way. I use the computer to communicate with him often. It's really a wonderful way for us to keep in touch. Some people wonder, how do I use a computer when I can't see? I have a Braille display device that has 8 pins that pop up just like the Braille code. So that allows me to do any kind of work on a computer that other people can do. So that basically eliminates the disability in using a computer. There are some things I can't do. I can't see pictures, obviously. I can't hear sounds. But I still think that I can do most things that people who do not have disabilities can do.